Paranormal Archives. In this episode, we'll be talking to Will, who'll share his experiences with a ghostly pilot.
I'm Will, I'm 22, and I'm a transport supervisor from Kent. Growing up, I sort of had this thing where I'd experience things that other people haven't experienced, and I'd sort of go, "What's that?" And they go, "Dunno." And I've always had sort of that sixth sense in a way. My mum growing up, getting me into Most Haunted, Ghost Adventures was a big one as well. Not as much my old man, but especially my mum, she'd go on investigations and stuff like that when Most Haunted were doing live events. Obviously I was too young to go with her at that point, but it did sort of really spark my interest from there. Sort of growing up, going on eBay when I had a little bit of money, getting myself little recorders, stuff like that, just doing my own little investigations. Even though our house where I lived before wasn't haunted, I'd always be going into different rooms with a recorder, sort of doing stuff like that. It was a school holiday time and my mum took me down to Chislehurst Caves. I was only about 7 or 8 at the time, and she sort of turned around to me, and we were literally just by where they had the church services in the war when everyone was down there for air raid. And I was looking around, looking sort of behind me, and I just saw something float by one of the crevices, and I was like, but obviously when you're 7 or 8, it's sort of kid stuff. No one sort of took you seriously. So I sort of grew up thinking, look, no one's really going to believe me about this because they just think you're young and you've got to be making something up, but it's like, you've seen it. That sort of carried it. My interest, obviously, know if there is anything afterwards. And then obviously the experience I had further on made me realise, yeah, there is. I wasn't a sort of Wikipedia fan searching it up all the time, but especially when I was younger, I'd sort of look into it a lot more, sort of realise, could there be something after it? Does the soul actually die when our heart stops? Does the soul die with us? And I sort of thought into that a bit more, done a bit of research, funny little Google searches online, getting myself in areas that people said was haunted, seeing if I sort of felt anything or you could see anything there. A lot of time when I was younger was roaming around London with my little children's bus pass, but then that was pretty much the extent of my research. So I grew up in South East London, moved out to Kent when I was older. Always the thing I wanted to do, just move out, and London's too expensive. It was North Weald. I was working for a small company there who operated out of the airfield, a few bus services in Essex. During the war, when North Weald was actually constructed, it was used as a military airbase, especially during the wars. A lot of places were, especially like Gatwick, a lot of aerodromes were turned into air bases, and North Weald was one of them. Now North Weald, it's mostly split up into sections a lot. I know Essex and I believe another air ambulance force fly out of there now, so that'd be quite weird. When I was working there, you'd sort of have air ambulances just rising, landing, coming in and out. You'd see a lot of trucks coming through, delivering, dropping off, doing whatever. Where I was working, there was a small bus company base there, and every Saturday you sort of have a market there as well now, so it'd be weird because you'd have all these sort of parts of life situated around there and working around there, and then that night when I was working, I saw the apparition. It was just so empty and it was so alone. I was 17 at the time in college, and I had a friend at the time who was working over there, so he said to me, he went, if you want to do your work experience, come clean buses for a few weeks, I'll sign you off for your paperwork, stuff like that. Doing stuff on the airfield, cleaning buses, normally get there about 9 o'clock in the morning, working through till 5. Obviously it was October, so by the time I was going back it was getting dark again. And then the night that it actually happened, I was told by one of the other guys who owned a bus there, kept it there on the airfield, used it as a food vendor. He turned around, he went, "No, just fancy washing my bus and earning yourself a bit of money. At 17 years old, you're going to want to grab the little bits of money that you can." So I went, yeah, go on. I was there, it was about 4:45, 5ish at night, it's just got dark. I use the headlights off my car to light up the side of the bus. There's me halfway up a little pedestal ladder, scrubbing the side down, getting onto the top, and I just saw this sort of presence coming towards me, or not what I thought was a presence, but a man coming towards me. So I thought, okay, slightly weird. Normally 4 o'clock is when everyone's gone. It's dark now. There's not going to be any private planes land or anything like that. But there was what they said was a pilot's bar on the other side of the airfield. So I thought, okay, so I might stay behind for a few drinks and just wondering what I'm doing. So I've sort of gone up, got down the ladder, went to sort of confront them, sort of have the conversation, say, look, I'm just finishing up here, then I'm going to be home, I'm not going to be too long. I just looked straight at them, and there was just nothing there. Obviously I've got the lights from here reflecting on me, but it'd be as if I was looking at you, or looking at someone distant in your headlights as you're driving. You're not seeing the full, but the skin is sort of glowing still. He was about in his 20s. He did look quite young, well shaven, well kept. I just looked at them, and they've just stood about 6 feet away from me. No sort of expression. It was like I weren't there. Just a completely blank face, just stared and looked at me. So I thought, okay. I saw him turn the apparition and just walk back the same way they come. One thing I do remember is there was a little badge on the uniform. It was somewhere just by the chest, and it said 111 on it. I've said to the airfield bloke as I was leaving, the bloke who manages the airfield, I went, look, a bloke walking around near the airstrip. So sort of looked at me like, no, there ain't. So I've gone, no, honestly mate, there is. He's wearing a World War II uniform. He must have been in the pilot's bar, just gone out with his Spitfire for the day. And he went, no, only your boys have been here today. And I went, honestly mate, jump in my car, we'll quickly give it the once round. And there was no one there. We went around for about 30 minutes and couldn't find anyone. He sort of started interrogating me at this point because he was pissed off. He's just wasted half an hour of time looking around this airfield for no one. So he's turned around to me, he's gone, what was he wearing then? I went, uniform of what you'd expect someone. It looked like a soldier's, maybe an air pilot's uniform. But there was a badge and it said 111 on it. And at this point he's just looked at me and gone, it's like the colour drained out of his face. He's taken me over to, it was a wall, but it sort of had all stuff on it from the war when it was used as a war base. There's a load of pilots there with 111 on it. I'm not gonna lie, my heart dropped. Because it was like, oh, that wasn't someone there. That is, as I saw it, paranormal. That wasn't a living person I just saw. It sort of reinforced my belief in the paranormal in that way. Obviously I had little experiences when I was younger, and then that happened. Where I was living in South London at the time, I had to get the train, tube back every day, back and forth. So I looked into it a little bit more while I was on the tube back. More and more where I was sort of looking into it, and you just scroll on your phone and you get lost in it almost. I'm almost seeing the exact match of what he was wearing to the pictures, to where I saw the bad place, to where the badge was on the uniform. It was like every hair on my body stood up, and you're getting the goosebumps. I even get them just talking about it, but yeah. From what I found out from the research, they come over, I believe it was after the Battle of Britain, to the end of World War II, where they were actually helping the British as a air battalion. Apparently it was quite a big squad. From what I heard and what I've looked into it afterwards, it was either Canadian or American. They come from the American, but they were based there during World War II. I don't know anything about deaths, what they had, don't know anything about if any of them did die there. Sort of spoke me out sort of to the point that I didn't want to read anymore. But yeah, I know that they were there, and it freaked me out. I didn't as much tell the blokes at work because there's a lot of peer pressure. It's sort of, oh yeah, of course you did. Oh yeah, where'd you get that story off Wikipedia? Even telling your friends, there's especially after you have a paranormal experience, it's like you don't want to outcast yourself with it, and you don't want to turn around and go, "Hi, look, I'm the bloke who's seen the ghost," because it's sort of a controversy around it a lot, especially when you're thinking it sort of hides your way. You think, am I different? Is there something with me? Because there's not actually a lot of people who sort of believe you. So I did keep it quiet. I've told, obviously, a lot of people in past relationships and got a mixed view on it. Never really told anyone, never went running around telling everyone it, because obviously people want to see a picture now. We live in a world where people want to see a picture or a video as evidence, and obviously I didn't have that. A lot of the blokes there was like, no. A few weeks after, I did mention it to someone at work. It was a person I was closest to when I was working there at the time, and they said, maybe go to the top of the hill to the Bassett. That's apparently meant to be haunted. From what I found out about the redoubt fault, it was built, I believe it's sometimes the late 19th century. So we went up there at that time. You could drive up there as a country road. It was very sort of uneven, unpaved, and you're just walking up there. Even before you get into the place, something just felt wrong. You get this sort of almost sinking feeling in your stomach, thinking something don't want me here, or I shouldn't be here. First time we went in there, it was dark. I took a photo of 3 of my mates, because they were all thinking it's sort of a jolly up, and they're not feeling anything. They're not sort of looking up for anything. I'm there and I'm still getting this feeling in my stomach, but I'm thinking if I'm the only one, it's probably a bit of nerves, it's something else, because I've been told it's haunted and these guys don't know it's haunted. So I'm sort of looking around going, let's see what other people think first. I'm sitting there, we're walking around, we're walking in all these different places. A lot of it is actually flooded now, because it's derelict. There's been no works to it. A lot of it is actually below ground level. So you look into the tunnels, a lot of it is just dark, flooded tunnels when you're looking in there. We've gone around, we've seen a burnt out car, and signs that people have actually been devil worshipping there. And that sort of put me on the back foot of, okay, am I jumping into something too deep here? Is there a chance that some of us could get followed? I'm looking around, I almost think I was sort of freaking myself out at this point. So my mates go, oh, let's all get a picture, and I did take the picture of them. You look in the back and you can just see almost what you can make out as a face. It's the middle of November at this point. There's no chance that there's just a man's face standing there in the back. And you can almost make out the eyes going onto the nose, the bridge of the nose, and it's almost like he's staring at us. And at this point, I've sort of looked through the photos of them, and they're going, oh yeah, that's a good photo, that's this. Then we see that one with the face. Everyone starts freaking out at that point, and they just want to get out. So we're walking back down the hill, we're looking behind us, and we're thinking, have we been followed? My mate looks at his back, because he's saying I'm feeling burning down my back. I'm going, right, okay. There was 3 marks down his back, sort of diagonal like that, just cross. And that's when we sort of vowed we're not going back there. For them, it was more exploring an abandoned place that was a thrill for them. There is a lot of people who just go for the urban exploring. For me, it was looking further into the paranormal. After what I experienced, do I jump further into it? And that's what I did. I don't believe it's connected, but to have 2 so different experiences in the same place, in the same sort of town, it's a coincidence. When I went up to the Bassett, that was a negative experience. That was something that I'm not sure if it's been conjured by stuff that's happened up there, or in the past, or whether it was brought around by the devil worshipping. but that was negative. That wanted to harm you. I don't as much think the airman wanted to harm me. He just wanted to let me know, hey look, you're not the only one there. You're not the only person on this airfield. People sort of fear ghosts, but some of them you don't need to fear. They do just want to say, hey look, I am here as well. But some of them, they definitely do want to harm you. A lot of us afterwards as well, we'd hear little noises and stuff like that, to the point that some of my friends, and they are genuinely the least, as you'd say, religious people, but they were going to churches, getting blessings, trying to get rid of it. And then in a way, something that never sort of clicked with me was that I kept on doing it. It pulled me in more, in a way. So I'd go and do little other bits. Until one of my friends went to see a fortune teller. They said to her, one of your friends is mucking about with the paranormal. You need to get them to stop before it attaches itself to them. It was just completely out of the blue. She come out and she turned around and she was having a go at one of my friends, because he told her about, obviously, the fact that my friend got scratched, and she went, yeah, well, I saw a clairvoyant the other day, and there's one of your friends who he'd been diving further into it, and the clairvoyant actually said, you need to stop. It wasn't the friend she actually had a go at, it was me. Since then, that's where I drew the line. I don't want to bring something home with me that could affect my child or my partner. Especially when something hurts you, you're almost like, okay, well, I've jumped myself into it. But especially with demonic entities, they can attach to anyone and anything. And it attaches to me and my home, it's going to have a knock-on effect. I haven't had anything related or anything that I believe was demonic. There's still times that, as I say, my sixth sense, I still pick up something sometimes, but I don't put my all into looking for the paranormal now. I sort of, if I feel something, I feel something, but I'd never go out my way to chase it.